This is Jenn here with Status Coup, and I have Stephen with me here. What did you think of the senator's speech just now?
Well, I had several thoughts. So first of all, on sort of procedurally, this is the first time, and I've heard Bernie speak many, many times. I was a delegate to the Democratic National Convention for Bernie in 2016, and so I've heard him speak many times. This is the first speech that I've heard where he's not introduced by somebody. He just, and it's a serious speech. He used a teleprompter. It was a very different from the usual kind of rallies where he talks about various things. But this was a thematic speech about one subject, which was basically economic Bill of Rights, and him weaving through what, as I understand what he's saying, is he is basically adopting, which I think is good strategy and actual practical politics as well as honest, is that he's basically saying, okay, you guys want to call me socialist, then you're basically saying that FDR was a socialist and he was vilified as being a socialist, and he invented things like a minimum wage and Social Security and regulation of the banks, and I'm fine with that. But I'm a democratic socialist. I'm not a totalitarian. I'm totally against the authoritarians, who include all the people he names historically and contemporaneously, including the occupant of the White House today. And that what he basically is advocating for is a continuation of the New Deal to implement FDR's 1944 speech, which was about an economic Bill of Rights, which is what he articulated. And I fully agree with that, and I hope he fleshes that out through the campaign and will attract support, particularly of young people, which I'm always hopeful for. I think the lesson of the 2016 campaign is a lot of Bernie's ideas really resonated with young people. I mean, I didn't know it would, but it did. And his presence in the race is ensuring that these issues are going to be discussed in the 2020 presidential debates and election.
And how would, if Bernie were able to enact these policies, how would it affect you personally? The economic freedoms that he talks about, the universal health care, the right to a good job, right to education. How would it impact you and your family members, those you love?
Okay, well, in terms of me personally, I am already on Social Security and Medicare. So I believe in those programs, and I believe that should be for everybody. I don't think it should be restricted to only people who are above a certain age. I think that for young people, obviously with the amount of student indebtedness, the high cost of college tuition, it's not the same. It was a lot easier for me and my peers when tuition was very minuscule and it wasn't a big burden, and I took out loans at 3% interest and easily repaid because the amount of money that I had to take out loans was much less than what college costs now. So I understand the necessity of implementing those kinds of things. In terms of Medicare for all, I think everybody should have health care. I think it's idiotic for this country not to ensure that everybody is healthy. We breathe the same air. The community in which I live in Virginia is adjacent to a community where 57% of the people don't have health insurance. They go to the same schools that the kids from the more affluent areas go to, and if they have a contagious disease, they're going to spread it to these other kids. So why, since we all breathe the same air, shouldn't everybody have high-quality health care? So that's why I'm for Medicare for all. And in terms of the kinds of things that Bernie was talking about, to me, it's just common sense. If we want to have a strong, secure country, then we have to have people be secure in every way possible. That is to say, secure in that they have a place of shelter, that they have quality health care, that they have a quality education, that they have a decent, well-paying job, all of those basic things, that they have child care and paid leave to take care of their children. I was just talking to, actually she is due already to a woman who's married to a good friend of my stepson, she's overdue right now, as a matter of fact, about, how much leave are you going to take? Well, they only give me so much time. I said, well, they ought to really have paid leave so she can take care of the child and he can also. But we don't have that in this country. That doesn't make any sense. What we have is tremendous wealth and income inequality, as Bernie, outlines, that we need to have not just socialism for the rich, but an equitable distribution of our collective wealth to everybody. And we can afford to do that. This is not a poor country. This is a very wealthy country. It's just that we tend to give the breaks to the people who need them the least. That is, the very wealthy. And they rig the system in their favor. I don't think, one of the aspects of Medicare for All, while I was mentioning that subject, I went to a Medicare for All hearing this morning on the Hill, is that you actually now have a system, which I find very strange, where the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayers are subsidizing health insurance companies. I don't think we should be subsidizing health insurance companies. I think that's a waste, because you're subsidizing their profits, you're subsidizing their lobbyists, you're subsidizing their political contributions. Instead of doing all that, we ought to provide health care for people. And we could do that much more efficiently if we just had Medicare for All than subsidize private health insurance, who are companies who are basically ripping us off and doing things with our money that are not related in any way to health care, but just enriching themselves.
Out front tonight, chaos at the White House. President Trump's deputy chief of staff, his communications director, is
just because of their connection to President Trump. And I know you've been saying...
We learned recently that Donald Trump threatened to sue his former schools if...
Tired of hearing about Trump 24/7? Become a member at statuscoup.com for only $10 a month. Click the notification. With your help, we can start the media revolution.
And before Bernie went on stage, I spoke with his supporters online here, and you really get that feeling from